The extent to which we've understood self-enquiry is the extent to which we can rest in the pure self, what I describe as having a comfortable sense of being. Most of us don't feel at home in the world. We don't feel at home in the universe. We're stirred up by anxieties, by desires, the drive towards comfort. Our pain body might be very active. When we rest in ourself, we might just experience pain. That might be the underlying tone. Emotional, psychological pain. If there is pain there, that has to be opened up and accepted. Not fed. Not fed. If we can do that as we practice the teachings of self-enquiry, then we'll come back to a sense of ourself. It's a sense of ourself we might have had when we were very young, when we were naturally confident, before that confidence was shaken by what would be described as the reality of the world and the awful things that go on in it. And then anxiety is promoted, fear, disturbance. And we have to get on with it, we have to get moving. We have to make it a better world, or at least peg out our little corner of it and make it nice. So if we go beyond all that, but once we realise there's more to life than that, we start looking into things. We acknowledge how we are. We start appreciating that things aren't quite the way we've been told. Reality is not as hard and fast. It's not as concrete as we've been led to believe. How we respond to reality very much depends on the notions we've got about it. We look beyond these notions. We look back at our own awareness. We become aware of our own awareness, which is uncoloured. It's that awareness which allows everything to arise. It's that awareness of our own awareness which is our sense of being. It's a sense of being which is free from all negative tones. It's that which is perfectly at home in the universe once again. It's resting with confidence, because the identification is no longer with a personality. We're no longer taken in by stories of an external world. The fundamental reality is being, is awareness, awareness of awareness. This is the infinite and undivided consciousness. It's that which allows all things to be. The whole universe is filled with this infinite and undivided consciousness. Realize this and do as you please. It's been described as feeling like an emperor, or being an emperor, being ruler of the world. You are completely at home. You do not need to justify your existence to yourself or to others. You do not need to prove yourself. This universe is your home. This universe brought you into being. You're a manifestation of this universe. And the awareness by which you know all this is the awareness by which the universe itself arises. It is only when the eyes are blinded by ignorance that one perceives the world of diversity. And what it means by perceiving the world of diversity is getting caught up in notions of diversity, in getting caught up by notions of things out there, things which demand our attention, things which demand action, things that demand that we do something to protect ourselves, to protect our loved ones, to protect society, to protect the world. Fears and anxieties. This is what the world of diversity contributes. It knocks our sense of being. But in truth, all these diverse objects are as real as a tree seen in space by one with defective vision. One wonders what sort of defective vision lets you see trees in space. But it's just as absurd. The notion that there are actually any external objects is simply that, it's a notion. The whole story of perception is a complete non-sequitur, as I've gone over often enough. It doesn't add up. You always get these pictures. Look up any text on perception, any article on perception. You see a very intricate drawing of an eye or an ear. Light comes in, sound goes in, there's all this wonderful mechanism going on. And then usually at the other end of the diagram there's a little tube with an arrow coming out of it to the brain. And what's coming out of it is electricity. The senses give us electricity. What happens to that electricity? Somehow the objective phenomenon of electricity gives us our whole subjective experience of the physical universe. How did that work? Where's the explanation there? It's a total non sequitur. And yet we see it in science textbooks. This is how perception works. This is how perception doesn't work. This is the story of perception. You know, and even a child, perhaps only a child, can see that. This story does not make sense. And that's defective vision. So we should ask ourselves, if there's no such thing as perception, and sure, we can get lots of evidence for stories of perception. We're so used to thinking in terms of perception. It's much easier to believe that my hands are covering my eyes. That's a story. Rather than saying the visual aspect of the universe has disappeared. What? But that's what's happened. The visual aspect of the universe has disappeared. You've just covered your eyes. Well, from where I am, the visual aspect of the universe has disappeared. More or less. That's a more accurate description. From where I am. From where you are, it's different. But from where I am, I'm not interested in your stories, thank you very much. I'll stick to what I know. So the distinction here is between the story and the experiencing. I suppose I could have said, rather than the visual aspect of the universe has disappeared, I could just have said, well, there's darkness with some colours floating around. That might be more accurate. The universe doesn't come into it then. That's just a notion. Well, the universe then is only darkness, colours, and some sensations which we described as physical or emotional, or thoughts.